People say that conversation is silver, but silence is golden. And of course, there's always a time to talk. There's always a training to how to influence people conversationally. But there's hardly ever a training on how to stay silent for a longer period of time. And that is our topic today when we are talking about influence through silence. And how you can use silence to influence your sales, leadership abilities, and even your personal relationships. So for a moment or two, allow me to introduce myself to you very quickly. Because who am I? My name is Andreas Dorn, and I'm a trainer here in Asia Mind Dynamics. I'm a certified NLP trainer. And in NLP, or in Asia Mind Dynamics, we are teaching people to learn how to experience their life the way they want to experience it. To us, NLP is more than just a training. Now, let's get started in this beautiful session, of course, with this beautiful intro video that we always have, because today there is no silence. Today there is no silence. I'm here to talk to you, to answer your questions, and to get your input, all right? Just a moment later, I'm going to share more about influence through silence. And one thing I can promise you, because I was doing this research, it will be such a cool session tonight. Fascinating. Hey Chris, good to hear you. Oh, you changed your profile picture. All right, at least I do know who's there right now. It will be such a cool session tonight. As I was researching for this topic overall, I came across really powerful material that I'm more than happy to share with you. However, please introduce yourself in the comment box so I do know that you are here in the first place, because I don't know. I can't quite see who's coming in here. And of course, as you are in this session here with me, feel free to ask questions, comments, participate please, all right? And let me know again who is here. And as you are here already, what would be also really great if you were to smash this button when you are looking at your right side view, I think. There's the button down there, and invite other people over here. So I do that they might want to share this video as well, because today we're going to talk about silence. Talk about silence. That sounds so cool already, all right? And how you can use silence to really influence yourself, other people, in relationships, in sales, in leadership, and it's really awesome. And whom do we have here right now on the session already? Awesome. I'm Sheeta, long time no here. We've got Sue, my lovely and beloved fan, and Chris, always here. Love you, man, as well. And I wonder who else is here right now. So please let me know in the comment box. Not sure. My darling wife, should not forget her, of course, you know. She's always there for me. But it's really a cool session. So if you are ready, let's hear the applause. Give me some applause. So do we know? We do know. I do know that I can start. Applause. Now let me hear. Hey, Ijin, okay, also good to see you here. Now let me tell you a story about silence. It was 1952, and the world, imagine the following scenario. The world was entrenching itself in music. And some of you might know music. Music was becoming is still very famous when you go into a mall. If you are listening to in a hotel, you are in a hotel, you're listening to music. shopping malls play music, escalators had music. That was or is still Music. Music was a company who was licensing little music to different places around the world. And there was somebody by the name of John Cage. And John Cage was getting, well, I would like to say sick and tired of too much noise in the world. And he was composing a piece of music that changed the world. And who played the music? Well, the guy who played the music was a guy, a piano virtuosi by the name of David Tudor. And it was August 1952 at a rustic outdoor jam by music hall tucked on a wooded dirt road in Woodstock, New York, before the real New Woodstock came up in Woodstock, New York. And David Tudor, as you can see here in the picture, prepared to perform the most jarring piece of music ever performed. And I'm going to share that story with you guys, and I want to know what you are hearing about, what you are thinking about that story. So Tudor was sitting at his piano and he propped up 6 pages of blank sheet music and closed the keyboard lid. He closed it. He then clicked the stopwatch and rested his hands on his lap. The audience waited for something to happen as a breeze stirred the nearby trees. After 30 seconds of stillness, Tudor opened the lid, paused, closed it again and went back to doing nothing. He turned one of the blank pages. Raindrops began to patter. After 2 minutes and 23 seconds, Tudor again opened and closed the lid. At this point, exasperated people already started to walk out of the halls. Their footsteps echoed down the aisles. After another minute and 40 seconds, Tudor opened the piano lid one last time, stood up and bowed. What was left of the audience politely applauded. And it was it was 1952. That means it was 20 years. Was it 20 years? Around a long time before Woodstock really happened, before the revolutionary Woodstock Festival happened. But that music piece he performed was 4 minutes and 33 seconds of total silence. And it changed the world. It changed the world because it was something that put the audience into a state of silence. And his aim was to have silence penetrate the silence, so people could start focusing on what really goes on around them. Birds, raindrops, footsteps, a little shuffling of feet maybe, but no music whatsoever. It was a protest, and it was against the ever louder music that happened to be everywhere. And it's still like this. So really, what do you think about this? Imagine there's somebody, imagine even you are paying entrance for that. The audience was really, they asked for feedback. Some were shocked. Some didn't get it. Some were like wondering what's going on. Others really got it. So what would happen if you are listening to music? Everybody can play that. For 4 minutes and 33 seconds, nothing happens. The conductor stands up and bows his head. Imagine that scenario. That was about the power of silence, and it changed how the world was thinking about the music overall. Because realize what sometimes is happening, really what's going on in a conversation. What is happening? What's going on? Somehow in a conversation we are feeling so, compelled to talk. We find it really difficult to handle silence. We don't know what to do with silence. We feel more comfortable when there's sound around us. Even if we have the chance to be quiet within ourselves. At a restaurant, somewhere in the evening time, how often, more often than not, we are picking up our phone and get entrenched in videos, movies, sound. When we are talking to people and there's an uncomfortable silence, we are breaking the silence by making noises, by asking questions. Don't you agree with me that it is something like this, guys and girls? Can you agree with me that it's sometimes really strange in conversation? That we have that feeling that we need to talk, that we have to carry on a conversation, and that we find it difficult even to finish a conversation sometimes. Because when we finish a conversation, it does invite silence again. And if you're going around, hey, even here right now in my office, I can hear the sound of drilling because they're renovating the office downstairs. If you're going out driving somewhere, you'll hear sounds, you'll hear noises everywhere. Where I'm staying in Tamandesa, huge construction is going on right now. Everywhere you hear sound, you hear noises, and we feel feel uncomfortable with the silence. We don't know how to handle it. We feel strange, we feel scared, and if you're communicating with somebody, we feel like we are not good enough to hold on to a conversation. It feels really strange. We want to talk, we want to fill the gaps because we are so used to the noise, which happens over and over again. And we feel anxious, we feel anxiety, and we feel the sounds around us fading away. Because also we might think, if we have nothing to say and we are just sitting there quietly, we believe sometimes that we are boring, that we are the person who can't hold on to a conversation, while in fact another person might just wish it would be silent for a little while as well. Yes, I'm Sheila. Of course, Sheila, you're living in a beautiful environment in Johor. Compared to KL, I think Johor is way more quiet, isn't it? And if you are going to other places in nature, I'm not saying no silence, no sounds whatsoever, but hey, I'm talking about gardens. Yes, Zen garden from Chris, for example, would be beautiful overall when you hear the birds singing and just the sound of the wind in the shuffling the trees. It would be really powerful overall. And it's most likely also what I'm doing next week, really healthy, because sound, constant noise can also be very unhealthy. So, yeah, and the sound of water running is bliss overall. Just hearing nature, back again, some birds singing, chirping is the right word overall. Now, if you're in a sales environment, for example, think about a sales environment in a negotiation, you know. Sometimes people say, actually, so you are putting out your price. So the advantage of silence is manifold. And some people have trained themselves up to be able to be quiet. In a sales negotiation, for example, you are sitting there with your client and we are talking, and then suddenly the price is on the table. And some people say if the price is on the table, something I don't quite believe, they're saying like the person who speaks first loses out. I believe in a win-win situation, not in win-lose. It's my problem most likely. But they're saying like the first person who says something loses actually. So when a client is silent, or when we are silent as a salesperson, as a marketer, the client feels compelled to say something. The salesperson might feel compelled to say something, retreats sometimes from a position, starts to try to justify why the price is the level it is at that point of time. In fact, silence in a sales situation could be much better. Because, and I'll say that again later on, when somebody's silent, they're starting. See, decisions are made with emotions. Most times we are making decisions based on emotions. Now what happens is, okay, you're putting up the price on the table and the client is sitting there and they're trying to comprehend the price and how it fits with their preconceived ideas, and then they're thinking about, they're putting the puzzles together the emotions and trying to justify the emotional state by saying yes or no, going ahead with that proposal. What then could happen is if you are interrupting your client, you are interrupting their thought. You are interrupting their process, their inner process of connecting the puzzles together. And that is a challenge because once you interrupt them, there's a gap in their decision-making process. And more often than not, they might just say to you, let me think about it and get back to you in a moment. That's a problem because maybe the client, if you would have just been a little bit more quiet, the client might have said, okay, let's go ahead with that proposal. Imagine, for example, you are sitting with somebody and you are talking. Not an argument, but talking, having a conversation. Do you guys actually prefer... Yes, Sue, let's see what Sue says first before I continue talking on this one. I always like silence, listening to bird chirping sound with a cup of coffee. Exactly, but the coffee should not be in a coffee shop because that's noisy, but the coffee made by you. Most likely very healthy, isn't it? Exactly true. So imagine you have a conversation with somebody. Which one is better? If the person immediately after you said something responds, or is it better for you to prefer, do you prefer, guys, tell me in a moment, do you prefer after you said something if that person has a little bit of silence before they actually respond back to you? Which one makes you feel better? If you are saying something, the person waits for a little while before they're responding back, not endlessly, just a couple of seconds. How would that make you feel? To me, personally, it might be, well, conversation should be flowing, of course. Maybe the break should not be too long. That's just my world right now. But what could be happening is we are appreciating a person because it's possible that they are starting to think about actually of what we are saying. So it's not an endless silence, or we are in a conversation. But it could be what we are saying, sometimes the pregnant pause overall. The pregnant pause. Pregnant pause. I always like that expression actually, you know. The pause is pregnant. What would happen if a person waits for a little while longer before responding? Because it might mean they are pondering our ideas, they're pondering of what we are saying, they're digesting it overall, wait a few seconds, and then they're responding back. Imagine another situation. Let's say what the audience says. Yes, Chris says, wait a few seconds. Sheeta is saying if he doesn't respond, he might not be listening. Well, that is not necessarily possible. It's also, I mean, it's possible, of course. But it's also possible, of course, that the person is just thinking through what you have said. So it's always useful to wait. Okay? So it's not necessarily bad if somebody waits. Just see it positively, Sheeta. Imagine you are waiting for something. Hey, Chris, it could be for you right now, okay? If you are waiting for your stuff to turn up to you and they want to deliver something to you, you ask them to deliver something to you, maybe a report, maybe something, or even, hey, for Sue, somebody has to deliver something for you. And they're coming up and they're giving you the excuse that they can't deliver it today. They have to wait 1 day or 2 days or over the weekend before they finally deliver it to you. Or let's say you are delivering something to your bosses. What would happen then overall? Could be that then you are quiet. You're just looking at that person, waiting. Well, they were supposed to deliver something on time. They're saying, sorry, boss, I can't make it today. And you're just looking at them and waiting, not saying anything. Do you think it's a good break to have at that point of time? Without saying something, because they expect you to say it's okay to deliver it later, or they're expecting you to say why can't you deliver it? If you are asking them, or if you are not saying something, responding back with silence, sooner or later, and just looking at them, sooner or later they are come up with an excuse or with a justification, or even better, they're saying, okay, boss, I'll do my best, I will deliver it today as per agreed deadline. The power of silence, if somebody doesn't deliver something to you, if you're quietly looking at them, waiting for them to break the silence. That's a leadership skill to have, of course. Hey, Chris, might be deaf or dead. My goodness. Imagine for a moment when you are arguing with your loved ones, and they were saying something. Yes, just try it out, Chris. Just try it out. Try it out. If your workers will freak out, if you be quiet and you're just sitting there, looking at them with a look. Don't you go away. I want your answer. So they come to you and say, like, I can't do it, boss. And you're sitting there. Just be quiet, looking at way. Don't look away. Just look at them into their eyes. Do you think they'll react to you? Do you think they will say something to you? Do you think they actually will deliver something? Or do you have a better reason of why they don't do something? You might get higher quality responses from them. Try it out, Chris. If you are in an argument, what is better? Word after word, fighting? Or is it just better sometimes if one party just stops and waits and ponders a little bit before they say something? And by that point of time, the tension might diffuse. It is not the endless silence, of course, but it might be just the 2, 3, 4 seconds the other party needs to have to diffuse the aggression, to diffuse the negative emotion, to diffuse what went wrong at that point of time. In a negative situation, an angry situation, in an argument situation, it's better to be quiet sometimes. Even so, in rapport building skills, we are saying you gotta match the energy sometimes. So there's a good time for both. Sometimes really silence, sometimes matching and mirroring the negative energy, not through words, but through your energetic behavior, your response, but then building down into a more silent mode. That is important. Silence is important. Exactly. Sometimes silence works better. Exactly. I'm not sure if you know this guy. Simon Sinek was saying, I'm not sure any of you do know Simon Sinek. It's a great guy. It's an awesome guy. He's a thought leader in the world. Wow, check out his check out his YouTube videos. And he actually was saying that leaders should speak last. He had, men lose to women in arguing. Chris, you need an NLP to undo your stuff. We can talk about this tomorrow, but hey, and I can't say that in public now if I agree with you or not. Maybe wrong, maybe right, okay? Just let's stay neutral here, okay? Simon Sinek was saying, leaders should speak last. How is it sometimes in a boardroom when there are people, or a team meeting, and the team members assemble around a table, and Simon gives a really good example on this one, and many times, more often than not, the leader speaks first and says, hey, here's a problem, here's what we are doing, here's what you need to do, here's my idea, what's your thought? So the leader speaks first, arguing for his position, and then invites the other parties of the team to speak. Whoa! Do you think the team will really respond back? Nope. Of course not. The boss spoke already. So it's really about, Simon is saying it, that you have the skill to hold your opinions to yourself, until everyone has spoken, does two things. First, it gives everybody else a feeling they have been heard. So when you are quiet, while everybody speaks first, they get the impression already, I have been heard by my boss. I could say my 2 cents or 5 cents or 7 cents. And it gives everybody else the ability to feel they have been contributed. Secondly, you get the benefit of hearing what everybody else has to think before you render your opinion. The skill is really to keep your opinions to yourself. Keep your opinions to yourself before you utter a thing. And that is powerful, because really, again, if the leader speaks first, nobody dares to say something, because who would argue against the leader, CEO, or whoever, MD or director? But if you are quiet first as a leader in the organization and wait for others to talk, they are allowed to make themselves heard, and you have to No show signs of not liking it or liking it, not even nodding your head or shaking your head. It's not possible, because that would mean you're arguing for something or against something. You are influencing the situation. You just be there and you are listening. And if you have to say something, or if you have to do a body gesture, you have to simply nod your head and take notes from everybody else who says something, so to speak. Good. Or, that is very important, of course, Stephen Covey. Many of you might know Stephen Covey. Oh, I'm too bright here, too close here. Many of you might know Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey, great guy, who was saying most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply, and that is a problem. How many times do we listen to people and we are listening to them, and as other parties speak, we are starting to formulate our ideas, our response back in our mind already. And it is sometimes happening halfway, the other party is saying something halfway through, we are starting to talk already in our head. What can we say? We are scared that we are forgetting that great argument to slam the other party into the ground. But it's really a skill to have. Do what Simon says first, be quiet and don't say a thing. It's a really huge skill. And the second skill is basically seek to understand. That you are really out there. In NLP we are calling it uptime. You are out there. You are not in your head. You are not waiting for your turn, and to say something already in your head while the other person talks, but you are really listening with the intent to totally understand before you argue. Leaders are the best listeners, should at least, Chris, be the best listeners, of course, Hey, Cheetah, it's good to watch it on YouTube, but it's also quite good sometimes to he's great on YouTube, okay? Definitely, I learned tons from him. So, what I want to share with you overall as a point is really, I believe strongly that when we are quiet, people have all the resources they need to succeed. And that comes from NLP. It's one of the presuppositions. What does it mean? It means, for example, in coaching, when I do coaching with people or therapy, that I sometimes ask a question and I'm just shutting up and waiting for my client to respond, because I believe they have the response, they have the resources, they come up with something. No bullshitting. They're coming up with something and we can talk about with whatever they come up. And then I ask good questions to dig deep into their unconscious mind. But it's about not steamrolling them with my own ideas, which I might believe they are great, but it's about allowing them to argue or state their points or say what's really on their mind first before I respond back. And again, it's really important to be quiet sometimes, In hypnosis, if I have a client, and that is really a great skill to have in hypnosis, when I have a client sits there with their eyes closed, and I'm guiding them into the trance state. You see, the powerful part sometimes is, if we are quiet, if I talk constantly, I might interfere with what's going on inside the mind. Every now and then, when I'm guiding somebody into the trance state, it is really useful to be quiet and just say, I'm staying quiet for a little while, and as I stay quiet, you trance and you will go deeper. As I stay quiet, you go deeper. And then I just shut up. And the client, by himself or herself, automatically goes deeper in that beautiful state of trance. It's just powerful. So we don't always need to talk in therapy. Again, people will come up with their own solutions if we just allow them to happen. And it will actually, in hypnosis, deepen the trance state. When you have a normal conversation, be it in a meeting, be it one-on-one with somebody or with many people, it's about listen and watching another person. When you are watching, not being out in your head all the time, what happens really is then that you are watching and you are seeing a whole display of facial expressions, physiology shifts, tonality shifts. You see so much on that person's face in their body language while you are just be quiet and listening to them talking. and watching them after they kept talking, so to speak. What you will identify sometimes is, first of all, is a person really saying the truth? Words and mind are aligned. Words, body, mind, and soul, are they really aligned with each other? Or they're saying one thing, but through body language they actually realize they don't quite mean what they wanted to say. So it's quite useful to be able to be quiet and just watch the other person. Have a silence for a moment to see how congruent, NLP terminology, body, mind, and soul aligned are they. Do they really believe of what they are saying through their words? You might spot a person's true intention, because if you are quiet, they're saying something and you're just looking at them, pondering what they said. And maybe as you do, if their words match their body language, you might even see if somebody lies. Lies, there's a lot of stuff to go on, of course, aside of lies. But if somebody lying, if you just be quiet for a moment, or do they come up with something else to argue for their points overall? A great leader is quiet. It's maybe quiet leadership. Maybe it's a new term here right now. I'm not sure if it actually exists, But it's really about, if you are quiet, you build trust as a leader. Because you're not steamrolling everybody. You are listening to their point of views overall. You're learning empathy. People feel understood. They feel understood through your silence overall, your presence. Your charisma actually might increase overall. Again, as I mentioned earlier, people make decisions when they are silent. When they are silent, they're thinking, they're pondering. And if you are interrupting them, they don't come to a decision. They would say to you, again, let me think about it and get back to you. And most often than not, they don't come back to you. So be quiet in a sales situation. Again, in leadership, people, if you're quiet, people know that you are listening and you're not hanging in your own head overall. So really, that is basically what I wanted to share. The power of silence is huge overall. Read before. If nothing good to say, keep quiet. Yes. Is that a book or is it a quote by you? If nothing good to say, keep quiet. Allow people argue for their points until they are really ready to listen to you. Until you are ready, you got all the points from them. They have emptied the bucket, so to speak. And you have then time to think about it, and then you are arguing your point. What I want to share with you, of course, where you also learn some beautiful skills a little bit to talk about, is that we are coming up with our hypnotherapist training in the next month already. Okay? It's really useful for therapists, counselors, dentists, coaches, trainers, and doctors. And as you are going through the training, for sure, I didn't want to show you that one yet. As you are going through this hypnosis training, you of course learn the power of silence overall. Chris, it's a quote from your boss, okay? You learn the power of silence in hypnosis. Again, of course, I'm inviting you as well. You are just one training away from becoming a certified NLP practitioner, a certified timeline therapy practitioner, a certified hypnotherapist. Contact us now. If you are interested, contact us now. If you are interested to create your life the way you want to experience it. And along that line, if you're not ready yet, access our free course online. Still available online. Lots of people inside of there. We are really rocking through the sessions here. Lots of stuff on how you attract sales. How do you attract sales here? How do you attract success into your life? That's it from me tonight. I hope you enjoyed the session again. Invite your friends over, watch that video together with you. Have fun doing it. Some of you I'll see tomorrow morning. Give me some more likes. It's lovely. That's wonderful. Share this video on your timeline. And hey, yes, as I